Welcome to my April TBR and end of March Physical TBR challenge update. My name is Sydney, and instead of just picking books off the shelves behind me or doing like a TBR jar picks prompts kind of thing, I have a 5-category system to help me pick my reads for the next month. My 5 categories are Identity and Heritage Months, World Map Challenge, Priority TBR, Continuous Series, and picking books off my Physical TBR. Today I made strawberry lemonade. April is both Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month as well as Arab American Heritage Month, so I have a book for both of these. For Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Month, I have Know by Name by Chanel Miller. I've had this on my kind of radar for years at this point. I have never really gone out of my way to pick it up because I'm a little apprehensive for obvious reasons, but I have heard nothing but good things about hearing her story in her own words, so this is the month that I'm finally going to pick it up. And for Arab American Heritage Month, I actually picked out 2 books. Number 1 is a nonfiction. It is We Are Not Here to Be Bystanders by Linda Sarsour. It is a memoir of love and resistance. I don't read a ton of nonfiction or autobiographies, and so this year I'm obviously stepping out of my comfort zone to read more and read more about people's stories, so I'm actually really excited for this one. And then I wanted to throw in an Arab American fantasy, so I am going to listen to The Stardust Thief. This has been on my radar for a little while now, and it is finally time for me to listen to it. For my Read the World challenge, I have written down every country in the world in these little pieces of paper, and this month I picked out Laos. I have never been to Asia. I have not heard very much at all about Laos, and so when I was going through and researching books to read from Laos, I have to say that a vast majority of them were memoirs about people leaving Laos because of the political turmoil there and finding safe haven in other Asian countries, but a vast majority of them actually came to the United States. I really couldn't find too much about Laos joy or, living and enjoying being in Laos. I will admit that I know very, very little about the country, and so this month I will continue my new tradition of watching a ton of YouTube videos about the history of Laos and people visiting there in current day so I can get a visual. But I will also be listening to The Late Homecomer by Kao Kalia Young. This is one of the several books that I found about people fleeing from Laos, and it's just it's a family memoir, so I think it's going to be really eye-opening to have a first-hand account from somebody's family. For my priority TBR, I have 2 that I'm kind of thinking about. Number 1 is A Drop of Venom by Sajni Patel. I've owned this for a little while now, I think maybe a year and a half. This is actually an ARC that I was given for free at a bookstore, and really the thing that got me really excited about it is it's a Rick Riordan verse novel, so it's part of his kind of collection of other authors that he's putting forth, and I am a huge mythology fan, and so I've had my eye on this for so long, but just I haven't gotten myself to read it. So I put it on my physical, so I put it on my priority TBR for this year, and I really might get to it this month. The other one I'm thinking about off my priority TBR is A Siri and the Amaru by Natalia Hernandez. I bought this one off the TikTok shop, actually. It's the only book I've ever bought from TikTok. This is one of the romances that I really want to get to this year, but because it's spring, I have a lot of other romances that I'm going to read this month, so I'm not really sure if I'm going to want to balance it out with another kind of like fantasy mythology, or if I'm like, no, full-on romance. So I don't know which way I'm gonna go. For Continuous Series, I am going to read the sequel to Can't Spell Treason Without T. It's called A Pirate's Life for Tea, and the 3rd book actually just came out less than a month ago called Tea You at the Altar, so I might get to one or both of those. It'd be really nice to be caught up to date on this cozy fantasy series. I'm really realizing that cozy fantasy might be my ideal genre. And lastly, just pick another book off my physical TBR. These are the 3 that I ultimately decided not to read last month when I was doing this monthly TBR reading vlog, and I haven't gotten to them yet still, so these 3 are the highest candidates, but honestly, I have like 500 other books behind me that equally could be part of this. Fantasy with the nostalgia from my childhood, fantasy Regency romance, or contemporary romance. The only problem with this is that I've never seen Sleepless in Seattle, so I feel the need to watch that movie first, so we'll see if I have time to have a movie night sometime soon. But aside from those 5 categories, I'm obviously going to read a ton more books behind me. I average somewhere between 10 and 15 books a month, so I like to just pick a few and then let myself kind of roam around my bookshelves and see what else I can read. And then I also listen to a ton of audiobooks, and I read a bit on my Kindle. I do have another reading vlog coming up that is themed. It's going to be my first kind of like themed reading vlog, so I'm really hoping to make it all the way through that series in this month that has 3 books right now. I also have a few books from the past 2 months TBRs that I haven't finished, so I'm really hoping that I can get through those too. But unfortunately, April is one of my busiest months of the whole year. It is when all of my graduation portrait sessions happen. it is when I have a ton of ultimate tournaments that I photograph and weddings, and I also travel a lot. I just drive all around in April, so we'll see how many books I get to this month. I'm really trying to prioritize getting off my laptop for a little while because my eyes like bug out when I edit so much, so who knows how this month is gonna go. And now onto my physical TBR update. As of right now, which is the last day of March, I have read 11 books in the month of March, and 6 of those were off of my physical TBR. I also just did a huge unhaul. I have that video already up on my page, and out of all of the books that I already had unhauled, I unhauled an additional 22. So this month I am minus 22 books. Unfortunately, somehow I also acquired exactly 22 books, bringing me right back to 784 books owned. First, my library was having a book sale, and I will always go to support my library and see what cool books I can find. So every single one of these was $1. China Rich Girlfriend, Sugar Cookie Murder. This is a murder mystery, but it has cookie recipes inside. I think they're so cool. And then 6 Regency romance books. I have never heard of any of these, but that's okay. They all look relatively short. The backs sounded fun to me, and I am a huge Regency romance reader, and spring is the time that I read a ton of them. So maybe I'll get through a ton. And at that library book sale, I also got both of these books for free. This is the very first Brandon Sanderson I have ever found out in the wild. It is really cute little mass paperback. I'm really excited. I'm not gonna get to this book for a minute, but it's really exciting to own my first Brandon Sanderson. And then I went to a thrift store and had one of the best days of book thrifting of my life. Stories of Women Solo Travelers, Memoir of Traveling Around the States. This is an indie rivals to lovers romance. I don't know if it's YA or mature reading. I don't know. I desperately want to reread the Warrior Cats books. They were my childhood, and I found this one and I was like, you know what? It is a super edition. I'm gonna take it. Found 2 Julia Quinn books. Firekeeper's Daughter, The Wicked King. This is the year that I read The Cruel Prince, finally. I've never read it before. And The Atlas Paradox. All of these books were in spectacular condition. I'm so happy with them. And they were all somewhere between $2 and $5. And lastly, 2 of my Barnes & Noble pre-orders came in the mail. It is a very purple month. So the final tally of books that I own is, again, 784. And of that 784, 588 are unread, which means my reading percentage has actually gone up, and I am now at exactly 25.0% books owned read. I am incredibly proud of that fact because I've been working towards that number for a while. However, my yearly goal for 2025 is to get up to 35%. And that was always a stretch goal, but I'm gonna try my best to get to it because at this point, I have to read 79 books off my physical TBR to make it to that. And for every book that I acquire, I then have to read that as well. So I'm looking at like 100 books that I need to read off my physical TBR, and the way that my months usually go, it doesn't feel very likely that I'm gonna get to it, but I am really prioritizing reading this year. Last year in 2024, I did a lot of doom scrolling, and I just had months where I didn't want to read, which was really unfortunate. And so this year I am just trying to romanticize reading again by picking out books in front, you know, making sure that I'm reading diversely, reading really cool stories, and making sure I'm getting to the books that I actually want to read. So maybe I'll make it to 35%, who knows? That is going to be all for this video. I am really looking forward to April. I think I have a really good reading month ahead of me, assuming that I actually fit it in between all of my photography sessions. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.